I need to share some tough news with you. Recently, I fell ill, and after some delays due to COVID-19 and safety concerns, I was finally diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer in early June. I decided to inform my family about it just 2 days ago, now that the restrictions had been lifted. I invited everyone over to break the news in person. When my brother and his wife arrived, my brother, who is very close to me, was understanding of my situation. He and his wife had their own big announcement to make, so he decided to go first. He shared that his wife is 4 months pregnant, and everyone was thrilled by the news. After about an hour, when it was time for me to share my news, the mood shifted. The joy from earlier was replaced by concern and support for me. While my brother seemed deeply affected by my situation, his wife appeared quite upset. I approached her to apologize for the timing, and she suggested that I could have waited a bit longer and delivered my news via Skype, allowing them to have their moment with the family. I explained that I had arranged the gathering specifically to share my news in person, and that delaying it didn't seem fair to me, given the gravity of my condition. I reassured her that I understood how difficult this was, but that I wanted to be honest and upfront with everyone while I had the chance. They're my family, after all, and when she burst into tears and demanded to go home, my brother, despite being confused, agreed. He promised to visit me soon since he lives nearby. Later that evening, I received a message from him asking if I had told his wife that she wasn't part of the family, and if I had deliberately sought attention, as that was why she was upset. The next day, my parents called to check on me. My mum mentioned that my brother's wife had called them the previous evening. Very upset, accusing me of trying to ruin her life because she's pregnant. I explained to my parents what actually happened and what I had really said. This has not only created tension between his wife and me, but also between my parents and her. Now she's blaming me for my parents not being her biggest fans. My brother is torn but is trying to talk to her, which is only leading to more tears and putting a strain on their marriage. All this drama is making me question whether I should have just postponed sharing my news or whether I should have called everyone in advance. I really wanted my family's support that day, but now I'm wondering if it was worth all this drama and potential further issues. Edit. Wow, I didn't expect such a flood of supportive responses. I was a bit nervous about posting this, so thank you all for the kind words and encouragement. I'm reading every comment and truly appreciate the support. I will definitely push through. I just wanted to add that when my brother first shared his news with me, he was incredibly excited and mentioned it as a casual aside, planning to announce his own news later. He did apologize for how things turned out. Here's a revised version of your text. He admitted that if he had known my news beforehand, he would have waited to share his own, because right now, my recovery is the priority. He also realized he had wrongly assumed my news would be good, as I'm usually the cheerful one. His wife wasn't too pleased either. She had a miscarriage earlier this year, which is why this pregnancy was especially significant for them. I'm genuinely happy for them, but I wish she could understand that this isn't a competition, as someone pointed out. I'm not sure why I couldn't tell him over the phone. We're very close, and I knew it would crush him. At the gathering, he was the last to arrive, and when he did, he quickly asked if he could go first. I was so taken aback that I just said yes. It's hard to describe that feeling of being completely frozen, with a lump in your throat preventing you from speaking. Sharing my news was already challenging. To clarify, I'm not perfect, but my brother means a great deal to me. That's why his wife and I had resolved our issues beforehand. I wouldn't intentionally upset her. When I saw she was upset, I approached her to explain. When she suggested I could have Skyped, I told her I wanted to tell them in person since they're my family and would want to be there for the news. I never intended to exclude her from the process. My brother and parents understand that. Sorry for the delay in updating. A lot has been happening over the past month, and since I've received so much support from Reddit, I wanted to share this. I want to be fair and let you all know what's been going on. First off, I've started treatment, which is one reason I couldn't update you sooner. Thank you all for your well wishes. I'm determined to bounce back as quickly as I can. I could see that my brother was under a lot of stress, so I finally sat him down for a proper talk. He showed me a series of texts from his wife, where she criticized him for choosing me over his family. She claimed that I was just seeking attention and that nobody cared about her. What really hit me hard was her ultimatum. If he chose me, he'd lose her and their child. If he chose her, she didn't want me in their lives at all. I felt terrible, not just for him, but also because I felt I could have prevented this situation. I apologized to him for putting him in such a position, and if I had just given him a heads up sooner, he might have understood better. He told me I shouldn't blame myself, that he should have been more considerate, and that his wife might have reacted poorly regardless of when we shared the news. To make things right, I decided to invite her over for coffee to discuss everything. When we spoke alone, she was very cold and didn't offer much in the way of answers, so I started by apologizing if I made her feel excluded or if her pregnancy seemed less important. I explained that I should have given them a heads up to avoid the conflict, and I genuinely apologized for my part in this. However, I also told her that her reaction and the extent of her dishonesty weren't acceptable. This led her to start crying and express her feelings. Here's a revised version. My sister-in-law has been very angry lately, especially since my brother has been prioritizing me. They've been having a rough time, and when he sided with me, it made her even more upset and lonely. She admitted to lying to my parents and my brother, hoping they would show her more sympathy. When they responded coldly, she became even more distressed. After several hours of discussion, she apologized for her behavior and expressed a desire to move past this. My brother later joined her, and they decided to go to couples therapy. While my parents are living with me and providing great support, they're still not entirely happy with my sister-in-law, though they've promised to work on things. Things seem to have calmed down now, and I hope it stays that way. None of this would have been possible without the feedback from all of you, and I'm truly grateful for it. I also want to clarify that I'm not a saint or entirely selfless. I recognize that I'm not blameless in this situation. However, to focus on my recovery, I need to avoid stress and tension. My brother's position and my sister-in-law's hurtful behavior could affect both her and the baby. I did what I could to address the issues so that everyone could focus on being healthy and positive without holding grudges. I know my sister-in-law can be stubborn and unreasonable, and if I had left things to her, it likely would have resulted in much worse outcomes. By stepping in, I hope to have created a situation where I can concentrate on my recovery without additional distress or toxicity. I'm human and I felt angry, but I'm doing my best to move forward. I was really upset and wanted to confront her, but I realized that doing so wouldn't help me, my brother, or my family. It would only make things worse. This insight led me to let go of my anger and focus on positivity, as well as on my mental and physical health. I spent all day on Reddit, reading through every comment, and I was genuinely moved by the support from people I've never met. You're all incredible, and I'm grateful for the upvotes, comments, and awards. I'll continue to read every comment, but this will be my final update. For those who asked, I'm 24.